President's Week BC Lions edition with owner Amar Doman, who is coming up on his 1-year anniversary of buying the team. Welcome to the Go-Goat Sports Studio. Thanks for doing this, and happy anniversary.
Hey, thank you very much. Great to be here, guys.
What kind of a year has it been for you?
It's been fantastic. Certainly the team is playing very well. Also, the fan base is reconnecting and re-engaging. We're having some good parties down there, and the vibe is different. So I've got to say, it's come a long way in 12 months.
I'm sure it has. It's one thing to be a successful business guy in town. It's a whole other to be a sports franchise owner. It brings you a level of popularity or a level of visibility in the community that's a little bit different.
Sense of responsibility,
and
almost.
Even that, exactly. How are you holding up with that, and how's the family doing with all this now that you're being recognized around town?
Sure. I think number one, it does come with all of those ingredients, if you will. And I kind of say, bring it on. This has been a passion for a long time. This is a part of British Columbia. So it's easy for somebody like me to be passionate about this and be genuine about this, which is what we are. I will tell you, the family's been involved with all sorts of aspects of the game, helping promote it. Both my boys are playing football, which is fantastic. We've been doing a lot of sideline stuff, a lot of stuff with junior football and amateur football. We're really spreading the word, so it's a responsibility, but one that I'm very happy to take on.
You seem hands-on. How is the time commitment going? How many hours a week you putting into the Leos, and how is that jiving with the rest of life?
Well, we've got such a first-class management team that, really they know what they're doing. We're just trying to bring them sprinkles of new ideas. We're putting capital into the team. We're really investing and trying to get us visible, but they're running the team. They know what they're doing in operations, seasons tickets, and I think our customer service experience has been first class, and I look forward to us to continue to build on what we started here.
When you first thought of owning a team, not even this team, we've sort of talked to you a little bit about how this purchase ended up happening. When did you ever first have that? I wonder if I would own a sports franchise. Was it when this landed in your lap? Had it never crossed your mind before, or was it before that?
Well, it crossed my mind for a lot of years, but it's interesting because I think a lot of people think, you can just easily buy a franchise. That is not the case,
There's not many sports teams around.
They're not, and the deals usually get done quietly.
Right.
Or if there's a bid process, there's a lot of people that are, going to outbid each other for them because they're trophy assets. You can't buy them. You can't build them.
Yep.
They're very hard to get. So for me, chasing this and being present, I think really helped get the deal done. And also seeing the passion and commitment that I know that I talked to David Brelly about over the years. We're delivering that now. And, he's a storied owner. We hope that we're storied owners over the next couple of decades. And again, these things don't come for sale. So when it did happen and we're finally inking everything, it was really like a dream come true.
What's the relationship like with the Braley family now? Is there any contact there at all?
There's contact there. And, his son-in-law came out for the opener as well, Grant. Super, super family. They could not be more first class with us.
Well, it's been a fantastic start to the season on the field. Thoughts and impressions of what you've seen from your football club?
We've got a nice mix of youth and a nice mix of veterans there that are taking care of each other on the field and off the field. They're gelling. They're having fun. BC needs this, and I really believe that we've got a contender here. We just want to make the playoffs, and I think this is a playoff team. We're also going to learn along the way. Obviously things offensively and defensively, but we're a young, exciting team to watch. It's fun.
How much do you engage on the nuts and bolts of football? Like, are people sharing game plans with you? Or are you looking for, the postmortem after the film study post-game? How engaged are you on the actual X's and O's of the football?
Listen, I'd love to tell you that I fax or email Coach Campbell the playbook for the game, but zero, absolutely zero, and I have nothing to do with that at all.
How much of your business is conducted via fax? I'm concerned by this sentence.
I think that's showing my age a little bit here. But,
I'm worried about the future if you're faxing still. This is a team that has had this unicorn land in his lap in Nathan Rourke. How much did you know about Nathan when you bought the team even? Was this even a plan? Did they let you know, hey, Michael's here for the rest of this year. We have plans for Nathan Rourke. Was this always sort of the plans according to the football ops?
That's a good question. We came in and around, of course, Nathan was the backup. Had a lot of good accolades. And of course, Michael, he was so banged up and he had a really tough year. He couldn't take a lot of snaps in practice. And Nathan was taking all those snaps and getting a ton of reps. He had to play bookends, right? He played part of the first game and then he played the ending game and pounded the Elks. The Elks were a little tired that week. Doesn't matter. A big win's a big win. I think that gave us good momentum coming into this season. Was it in the plan or not? I mean, that's really more behind the scenes with Rick and Rick who are running things there. But certainly, I think Mike was tired and he was ready. Otherwise, he could have taken a catastrophic hit somewhere and really banged himself out pretty bad. So I'm glad it worked out for all parties involved. And now Nathan's taking the reins. He's a natural leader.
How much of a marketing tool is a Canadian quarterback?
It's fantastic. Not only one, we've got two, and that's pretty special. I think it's 50 years or something since that's happened. And it's not just a marketing piece. People resonate with that. He and I were both born in Victoria. Of course, I selfishly love that. I think that's super cool. And it's just great to have this story and him already breaking CFL records. As a Canadian, I like hearing that, but I also want to see him just breaking records. I think we focus on that a lot in the media, on him being Canadian and the Canadian records, but they're records. Let's break them all.
Yep.
He might lose it on us, too, if we keep bringing it up. I think Nathan's done with the unicorn status. He wants to be a great quarterback, not a great Canadian quarterback.
The incredible part is, though, it's this renaissance of the Canadian quarterback with Trey Ford playing in Edmonton. I read a stat that Ford grew up in Niagara Falls. Rourke grew up in Burlington. They both played in Hamilton within a couple of weeks. So you had two quarterbacks who had grown up within a few, 50 kilometers of Tim Hortons Field, starting games in the CFL. Like, just mind-blowing stuff for those of us who have followed the league for so many years and haven't seen many Canadian quarterbacks, other than Julio, of course. We always must remember Julio. It was 34,000 on opening night. It was a fantastic evening for all involved, not only the One Republic pregame concert, but the game itself. The crowd, nobody expected 34 the next night, but the crowd since, how would you characterize them?
Rebuilding nicely. We're happy with what's going on. We're also happy with the buzz that's in the city. I've worked our sort of business networks pretty hard. They've all showed up for me and for the team and for BC. So I really like what's happening. The fans, we're trying to make things very economical. The $5 beer thing's a huge hit. $5 margs, all of that. We're throwing street parties. The next home game we'll have on August 6th, which we're very excited about. We're going to close Robson and Beatty again and throw a big one. It's going to be a blast there. So we're investing in it. They're coming back. Thursday night, we had more attendance there than I don't know how many years ago it was. And it was loud in there. The fourth quarter, it was really loud. It was a real football game with real fans yelling. And that's what we want. And it's going to be one game at a time. There is no way that we could or anyone could come in and replace attendance that's been declining for a long time. But as I said earlier, when we took over the team last year, the fans are here, the kids are here. It's on us to get this done, but it's on us to invest in the BC Lions, invest in merchandise, invest in the dance team, invest in what we're doing with parties, whether it's One Republic. These things aren't going to stop. We're going to make this the cool spot to go again. And also having the team start off nicely this season has not hurt us whatsoever.
No. Is 20,000 a magic number for you?
I'm not even going to put a number on it. I think, we can do better over time. It's just going to be year after year, game after game.
I think attendance drops off quickly in sports franchises, and it is slow to build, right? Unfortunately, it doesn't build back up at the same rate that it drops off. And I've commiserated with Matt Baker, your colleague here, working Whitecaps games as well as Lions games. I see the comparison. Are you heartened by the fact that both of you have a pretty entertaining product? Both of you have had a pretty decent start, yours more so than the Whitecaps even. And you're both struggling. Like, they're both franchises are kind of at the same spot of, come on, we're doing a lot of good things here. Where is everybody? Does it lead you to believe that there's forces that you can't control that are also at work here?
Well, a little bit, but, the Whitecaps certainly created a nice buzz and program there, as have we. But we're just starting. Last year everything was still in motion, and, Mr. Braley had passed away, and it was a tough period for the Lions. And, now we've got full attention, working well with the management team. They're awesome. So, hey, it's only been a few games here as we've started the season, but let's see what's happening later on. If we're starting to make a little run for the playoffs, the momentum that can build here could be absolutely amazing.
I know that your predecessors have bristled at this question. I do so knowing that it is a useful building. What are your thoughts on BC Place?
We're here. Let's embrace it. And, really, Pavco has really been working hard with us to do what they can do. There's so many different rules that, I'm learning is why can't we do this? Why can't I'm throwing 100 ideas a week at these guys to say, look, what can we do? It's difficult. It's a government-run building. There's a lot of restrictions, but Pavco has opened the door to us and also has seen that this family is investing in the club. And we are going to invest back in the club. We're not going to take money out of the club. We're going to continue to put it back in the community, into the team, into entertainment, into the product. And that's what we're going to do. And so we're evidencing that. They're also making changes with us. So I've got to say that the marriage is opened up fairly nicely, and I think it's going to be a good long-term one, but we're at BC Place to stay.
Real estate is crazy here. So it's probably pipe dream. maybe this is too big a hypothetical. If real estate wasn't what it is in Vancouver, would you be of the mind to try to do what the Bombers and Regina have done? Build that kind of a stadium? Would that project have been on your mind if not for where we live?
Yeah, it's difficult when we only have 9 home games, right? And you have to have other things to augment revenue, cover the taxes and cover insurance and all those different things that come at you every day when you own a big building.
It's a different
like
industry. Because when you're in a stadium management, it's a different industry, right?
It's a different industry, but you also control the revenue and, those beers and all that where the margin is. We don't see any of that today. And certainly we'd like to get towards some type of a share because I'm, trying to bring a lot of fans in. I'm investing in that, and I think the door will be open for us to talk about those things. But yeah, I mean, if you were in a smaller town, if you owned everything, certainly it would be a different revenue model.
What was your reaction when you were told the roof wasn't going to be open for the Hamilton game?
Well, if there's kids listening, I don't want to answer that.
Yours is in studio, so let's keep it clean.
Certainly not happy about that. I could sense how embarrassed Pavco was. It's a mechanical issue. It happens. Could the timing be worse? No. It's fixed. And so let's hope we don't see that again. And whatever happened, let's hope that they've troubleshoot that thing.
Well, that was my follow-up, Amar. Are you satisfied that won't happen again?
Not yet. I don't have a full briefing because they just got it open recently. So I'll get a briefing on that. And us in the Whitecaps were, and Pavco, no one was happy about that. Of course, the heat just hit here recently in Vancouver as well, so it didn't make it a great evening.
While we're talking pipe dreams, there is talk, of course, of this 2026 World Cup bringing natural grass for that year, and I know it was early when all that got announced, and it's still early. It's only a couple of months later here. Can you envision a world where you guys are playing on grass after 2026? Do you think there could be a groundswell of, hey, we can make this work with real grass in this stadium going forward?
I've more information to come. I believe Pavco is working on models to make sure, it's been done elsewhere with stadiums like this. Not sure about our climate and how much sunlight we get in the winter. I think, we know we get no sunlight here in the winter.
Be a lot of artificial,
So, not sure how that's going to help there or hurt being inside. It might work kind of like a little solarium type of thing, but I would be 100% for grass. Football's a game that should, you grow up on grass, way easier on the players. Your players are your number one asset. I'd be 100% and fan of grass forever.
If it can work, sure.
If it can work, yeah.
You mentioned you were pleased with the crowd for a Thursday, which we know is not your best night in terms of drawing people out. It does work in other markets. Where are you, Amar, on the structure of the CFL schedule with some of these Thursday night games? Of course, we know Friday Night Football is the franchise. There's always going to be Friday Night Football. But where are you on Thursday and the weekends, both in the summer and then in the fall?
I'd like to see us, if possible, working, with TSN, our great partner, on more 4:00 games. And frankly, here's why. Look, we've had one this year. Let us get after this, whether it's a family day thing, whether it's a business, person's evening here in Vancouver. We need a few more shots to get that Thursday attendance up.
So that's Saturday 4 p.m. games that you're talking about. That's
for the family games, yes. For a Thursday night game, we could do stuff with the business community and really drum it up and rally it up differently. It's just hard with the schedule to get a 4:00 game here because the TV attendance is just naturally lower. People don't seem to watch a 4:00 game on TV as much on a Thursday because most people are still at work.
So you'd like to do a 4 p.m. Thursday kickoff here?
I'd like to do it once just to see if, it would be different, but we would promote the absolute heck out of it.
Yeah.
Hey, if
something different.
If the Vancouver Canadians can do as well as they do with Nooners, it's on a larger scale, granted. But, for the Cubs at Wrigley, for how many decades,
Wow.
I'd also throw in, because we played Hamilton recently on a Thursday evening. So that particular game, if you're in the East, you can't watch it. So I think the ratings gods would say, hey, look, this might make some sense because if we're playing one of the Eastern teams on that, they're going to get a good TV.
You're a football owner. We've been led to believe you believe in blackouts, though. So how did
I don't. No. I don't think you can force fans into a game. I don't think that works. I think you're looking greedy when you're doing those kind of
interest is interest, right?
Right. You want that game on everywhere it can be.
Should be a 3-hour infomercial for your product, right?
100%.
If you play well. League has come a long way in other revenue streams and, of course, television contract, but I still think it's a gate-driven league. You disagree with me if I'm wrong here, Amar. How do you feel the league is doing revenue-wise? Do you think it's diversified enough? Do you think you're getting enough out of the broadcast deal? Is there a world where it would be not quite as gate-driven going forward?
I think that as we explore our new partnership with Genius as a CFL, that's going to add, I think some great things. If we can get single game betting out here in BC, we're pushing for, that's going to attract more eyeballs. There's certain pieces in place that are coming that are going to really, I think, enhance the CFL's revenue base, but it's going to continue to be ticket driven. We're a small country. It's a huge country land-wise, but we've got 44 million people here, or whatever we have today, and the state of California and Texas both have more than us. It's hard to drive this, with 9 home games every year into the stratosphere. But to me, the CFL is such a prime product. The game is excellent. It's just the markets that have been struggling have needed more marketing and frankly winning, as you talked earlier. Fans leave you pretty quick, and they're slower to come back as you start to win again. And part of Vancouver, we've been in a slide here for 7 years. It's been painful to watch the Lions. Even as a fan, for me, it was hard. And, now to have some excitement and everything like that can build that gate back up pretty quickly as well with a winning season.
I asked you that question because I did want you to respond to what Larry Tannenbaum had to say to the Globe and Mail not long ago, of course, the chairman of MLSE and the owner of the Argos, who says, my concern is in the major cities, Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, it's not attracted the younger fan engagement. You look at value creation and, quite unfortunately, these teams are not worth that much money. That's an interesting thing for a governor to say. What was your reaction to that? What was your response? And is that helpful?
No, it's certainly not helpful. And, they run everything in Toronto, and I understand their strategies might be a little bit different on maybe where they want to go with the CFL. But certainly there's no one to blame except ourselves when you talk about lack of fans coming or this or that. There's nothing wrong with stuff that's going on in the midsection of the country. Fans that have been built up over the years, we're going to build that here in BC, starting with the youth, everything we're doing, me being on the sidelines, helping children get into football and rebuilding the fan base. I don't hear any of that in Toronto. I hear someone blaming the fans and blaming something else, except blaming internally. I think you got to take responsibility for your fan base. You have to take responsibility for lack of attendance. If that's your problem, fix it.
I mean, you traveled to Toronto. I traveled to Toronto. I don't see any Argos emblems. Like, you see TFC stuff before you see Argos stuff.
Yeah, TFC's done well there.
Yeah.
And, the Argos, it feels like a faceless team.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends in Toronto. I went to last year's road game where we had the kicking issues. But,
Yes.
it was very, very, there's a dull vibe in there.
I know you're not the commissioner, so this isn't your file.
Not yet, Blake.
No, not yet. But when you buy into this league, I'm sure you have dreams about where it goes. Did that dream of your mind to a 10th team and the importance and the viability of it? Because you don't want to have a 10th team that, in 5 years, you're like, we got to fold the 10 up. Or even an American division. So the big questions that the casual CFL fans always asking about. When are you going to balance the schedule? When are you going to get that 10th team? Or should you go to the States again? Should you have a team in Grand Forks and Niagara Falls and what have you in those border towns? What are your thoughts on those two big questions?
We'll start with the U.S. I think we don't want to have a false start down there again. Also, the XFL is doing their things, and the USFL League, and you want to talk about bad attendance, check that stuff out.
Oh, we were just talking about it the other day.
It's
The
embarrassing.
championship game, and it looked like dozens if,
Friends
you
and
didn't even
family.
get to hundreds. Yeah.
No, it looks dead on arrival. So let's come back to Atlantic. Pre-COVID, right? So it was set and done. The money was there. Halifax was going to build the stadium for 20, and it all fell apart during COVID. So look, it's coming. I want to speak for the commissioner, but there's a lot of work going on. That Atlantic Bowl was great attendance. If they
Good
had
vibe.
10,000,
Yeah.
they would have filled it. I mean, they had to build those stands up just to get 10 in there, and it sold out in an hour, right? So Touchdown Atlantic was great. I believe that 10th team's coming. I think that'll be our rival one day, which would be pretty cool. So we can have a Labor Day game and this kind of stuff that we need. I'd say be patient, but I can't tip my hand, but I think seeing Touchdown Atlantic is hinting to us what's going on, and that will also help, I believe, build the trust of the government officials that need to write some checks into this in the Maritimes. And by evidencing the fan base coming out, partying, enjoying great CFL football, that's all going to help.
Okay, the one branch off of that, and it's beyond pipe dream. I've always said it'll never happen because you are the BC Lions after all. But even beyond that, the name, there's just not enough population. Island team, Okanagan team. Have you ever put your mind to something like that?
I think that would dilute probably what we have here.
Yeah.
I think the 10th team should be in Atlantic Canada, so we're truly Pacific Ocean to Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah.
Great story. I think the league's waiting for it. I think it shows up pretty soon.
Would you want to host that Labor Day game, or would you guys be okay being the visitor all the way across the country?
Well, I think maybe it rotates.
Yeah.
Like that was the first one, though.
Well, that would be against
Stake that flag in, right?
well, that would be against tradition because it's always Hamilton and it's always Calgary for the other ones. When we
Us
talk,
coastal folk, we always do things differently, though,
Yeah,
right?
we do.
Both sides.
well, put it this way: like if you know that region of the country, every game there is going to be a huge party. Like that's just how Halifax rolls.
Yeah.
We talk about younger audiences, and of course, so many of them are cord cutters. Amar, you think the league has an effective strategy to deal with cord cutters in that younger demographic?
Yeah, and I think it starts with, when you're talking about football, again, youth football and kids playing more of it, being more visible. We're, talking about our strategies here. We bought 110s for the Lower Mainland. They're everywhere. They're at different schools. They're at flag football tournaments. We have to get visible. I will never blame YouTube or anything else for, we had TVs, switch the channel. Like we have to get people engaged in football, engaged in the team, and that's our job to do it. And whatever we're competing against is no different than anything else. People can do whatever they want, and that's why you look at other leagues and you can see if kids are just have loose eyeballs or have cut the cords on cable, fans are still packing stadiums in all other sports. Most of the stadiums here in the CFL, we're starting to rebuild here. Give us some time, we'll get there.
You mentioned the USFL and the XFL. Look, they have their own business and audience challenges, but the one thing that could be problematic for you is the American talent drain. Are you at all concerned that these rival U.S. spring leagues, be it the XFL that's getting going again or this past USFL, is going to sap too much of that American talent from your CFL coffers?
First of all, that's a great question. No, the answer is no, because this will be a short-term experiment again. If you're going up against the NFL, good luck. That's what they're doing, and they're trying to do spring league right after the NFL. This has been tried over and over again, and I hope it's good just for the visibility of football for the sport, but financially it's a disaster. You're not getting the eyeballs. The CFL here continues to be an exciting game. It continues to be so professional, and it's got good history. We'll continue to build on this and not worry about those guys.
Is it worth having a defense strategy on that? And I'm just thinking on my feet here, but should the CFL open up a war chest of sorts and say to free agents, hey, here's everybody gets a $5,000 cash bonus to sign back in the CFL this year, something like that, just to sort of, twinkle that shiny object here for free agents and keep them north of the border?
I think that's, a league discussion that should happen. I believe that all players in the CFL deserve more dough. First guy to say that. They risk their life playing this game, and, I'd always cheer for more money for the players. Always.
We had a bit of a footsie dance there as we were coming out of the pandemic with the XFL and the whole notion of maybe adopting some rule changes, maybe going to a different brand of football, whether that's 11-man or 4 down or skinnier field or all of those things. Where are you on that? Are you completely devoted to the Canadian game as it is currently structured, or are you at all open to possibilities to play with the number of players, downs, line of scrimmage, skinnier field, and the sort of things that differentiate the two games right now?
It's a great question that I think about a lot. And number one, I think if you're not making adjustments in your business, your marriage, whatever you're talking about, you're going to fail eventually. You have to keep up with the times. And it doesn't mean tearing down the CFL game, but it does mean adjustments. I know move some hash marks this year. Little things should be done over time, but I think we have to listen to the fan base, not just, some of our older fans too, that really, if you even discuss changing the downs, you're tearing the Canadian flag in half.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be like that. We have to see what the fans want and, what we can do to bring eyeballs, but I don't think there's any wholesale changes required here. The game is awesome.
Part of me wants to always add it down. Like I am tempted for the fan, I think NFL be gambling and all that sort. Like people are NFL fans. They are. I think streamlining that, making it applicable makes a lot of sense. But in terms of the actual entertainment value of the football, the scores are the same. Yeah. With one last down. Like it's not like it's a panacea because you just see more running, right? It just be the guaranteed running down per set of downs. It's tempting, and I think again that streamlining of rules for the NFL fan to bring along, which leads me to my next question: how bad would it be? Because you look at the European model of soccer, Amar, and second level of English football. That's a high level of soccer. Would it be horrific for the Canadian Football League to be unofficially the minor league of the National Football League?
That's something I've never been asked before. I don't want to be a second-tier league. I want to be a number one league in our country and be proud of the game we've built for years. So I wouldn't be a fan of saying we're sort of the B league of it. I think we can be the A league like we are. And I talk to people who haven't watched the CFL in a long time here in BC that, number one, the players here are virtual, most of them almost as good as the NFL players, right? There's a 1/10 of 1% that make it in Hollywood acting. There's 1/10 of 1% that make the NFL, make that big money. The other guys are just right there or didn't get picked for
one
some
little
reason.
ingredient missing, whatever it is.
One little missing ingredient. These guys are hard-working players, as are the Canadians that are on the team or from international. So I would just say no, I wouldn't be a fan of that. What I would be a fan of, though, is looking at adjustments to the game, to your point, because a lot of guys say run, pass, kick. It goes too fast in one area. But I think if we could look at some adjustments over the years, the problem is you really have a division on that.
Yep.
There's guys like me that say, I'm open to kind of look at stuff. Other guys are like, no.
I was pleased to hear you say what you said about, always having to adjust, adapt, or at least look at your product, because I also perceive that, if any kind of suggestion in that order gets, viewed as, you're anti-Canadian, things like that, I think that also applies to the ratio based on what we saw in the last CBA. Are you confident that we're going to be able to produce enough quality Canadian football players to meet the ratio demands with the injuries that come up? Because it's not just who you start with, right? You're going to need more Canadians as the season goes along because of the injury situation. Are you confident that we're able to produce the number of professional football playing Canadians that this new CBA will require?
It's a tough one. I really believe that, some adjustments should be made there as well. Just so we have the right talent on the field. Really, it's not against Canadian players or anything else, but, this is a business. And, at the same time, we need to have the best players that we can find out there, pay them well. And it's nice to have 7 years of labor peace, which is great for the CFL. That's something that no one needed, that almost strike thing. I don't want to digress into that. But really, I think some adjustments could be made there to open it up a little bit more towards international.
It sounds like you're for naturalized Canadians, too, that if
100%.
an American player plays here long enough, that
He's dedicated himself to the league,
for that.
right? And if they're loyal to the league, like those guys that are never going to the NFL again, they've made it clear. I'm a CFL player.
The G. Roy Simons.
The G. Roy Simons.
Yeah.
100%. I'm for that.
Because do you believe player turnover is too much? Like, is it too much in free agency?
I was saying that, all these short-term contracts. I think now that we've got, a long labor agreement, we're going to see some longer-term contracts. And again, earlier I was saying, who's our team? Everyone's so transient. And I hope that, our particular club can lock into long-term arrangements with a lot of our players, and when they come up as free agents, that we can lock them in. Everyone has the same dream, but, really build a long-term team here for multiple years of success.
Yeah. I mean, that would be amazing, right? Like, that's where fans are able to connect with players on a longer, buy the jersey and know that it's going to be there 4 years from now. Sounds like Lucky Whitehead is enjoying his time here. Might he be one of the first here to plant the flag?
That guy loves it here, man. Oh.
He is a personality. He is a hard-working player, even off-season. That guy is training. He's shredded. He's ready to go. He just, recently got fully healthy. I think we're going to see some great things come out of him. But he's a character. The kids love him. He's genuine. He's fun, and he's always riding something interesting into the games.
Yes.
Something to keep your eye on.
How much did you rub shoulders with pro athletes before this? Because I don't know if you've seen the difference as you go from league to league. And this is not because you're our guest in studio here. CFL players are routinely the most accessible players you can come across. Matt and I have been in the rooms of every single sport. The CFL player has got to be the most grounded and down-to-earth player. And I don't know if it is because they've sort of come to terms with what they are and maybe not going to the NFL and all that sort of, but they just cherish every second they have playing this game.
Well, they do. And we've had, in our first year here, we have had so many of the Lions happily come out to anything to visit with the kids, do anything with the community. You ask, they're there. There's not, maybe, it's just bang. Okay, what time?
There's no me first guys. No.
There's no ego there. And I think one of the things that we all have to remember is we don't have to always compare ourselves to the NFL.
Yeah.
Whether you're in business, don't compare yourself to IBM when you're getting started in tech or whatever you're in.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Just be happy in your own shoes. And I think the CFL players are happy in their own shoes.
It feels like it.
So shame on you for comparing us to Time Warner, okay? We're a long way from Time Warner. What I love about it too, Amar, is when the American player first comes up, it's, oh my God, kilometers. taxes. I can't get ESPN. The
Colored
cereals
money.
are exactly. And then if they spend enough time here, boy, the way they talk about Canada when they go back home is truly a testament to our country. You have co-GMs. It's an unusual arrangement. Is it here to stay? Do you want to change that at some point?
That's a question for Rick. I'm not avoiding it, but really, I don't get involved in those decisions.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the top of the pyramid football ops wise, and you don't have any.
Well, we've got a great president and a new president starting in next week, actually.
Yeah.
So Duane will be out here next week. We're excited to get him going and shadow with Rick, and then pass the baton off. So really, those are decisions. Hey, if there's decisions to be made at the top about personnel, and we have to make some tough ones, I'm sure they'll ask me to come in and ask my opinion. But really, it's their organization to run.
Do you feel a little bit not rudderless? I'm sure you have full confidence in the new guy, but Rick has been around this league, seen it, heard it. Just out of your first year as owner. Is it a little bit nerve-wracking to know that you lose that experience soon?
It is, and we can't say enough about Rick and how good he has been to us as new owners and through the process of the sale.
Yeah.
These things are complicated. It was, it's just been excellent that he extended his tenure. He was going to come out to help David for 2 years, and he's in year 4.
Right.
And, he's got 10 great grandchildren back in Edmonton, and I think he's ready to head her back. But really, this guy works as hard as a 20-year-old.
I'm looking forward to seeing Rick and Jonah Grey Cup where they can cut loose a little bit, because he's always got to be Mr. Formality and the president of course, the Lions now, but previously Edmonton. You mentioned your new president, Duanne Vienneau. Tell us about Duanne.
Duanne is excellent. I've had some experience with him now being on the board of governors with the CFL in the meetings. His resume is excellent back in Edmonton as well. He's a very personable guy. He's about marketing, about sales, obviously loves CFL football, and he's ready for this challenge. He's in his 50s, great family man. Him and his wife are very excited about moving to Vancouver, which they will be permanently, and buying a place. They're coming in to stay, and we're looking forward to working with them for a number of years.
Tell us about the process. Did you go to him? Did he come to you? How did that marriage take place?
Yeah, Rick really ran the process, and then, I came in at the end with sort of the final candidates, and then collectively the decisions were made.
Well, if you're out of questions, partner, I got one big one left. Because when we had him on last August, when he bought the team, feel like he sort of brushed this one aside. He was new to interviews at the time. Now he's a seasoned veteran, a year in.
I hope the question is, how many companies do you own? Because every time I see Amar Doman, a bio on Amar Doman, there's a new company added to the list. So
I'm less concerned about that, and I'm more concerned about his personal relationship with Jerry Jones.
Oh,
Jerry Jones.
We heard that there is a connection between you two guys.
Well, there's a connection through a company we bought. Speaking of buying,
yeah, there you go.
down in Dallas, we bought a big business down there just last June, about 13 months ago.
Okay,
great business that's doing fantastic down there, and it does have deep ties to the Jones family through the ownership and Stephen as well. It's a pretty special relationship, and those guys are all up to speed on the CFL. Like, as you guys know, the NFL keeps its eye on the CFL. It's a nice brotherhood. It's pretty cool stuff. So when you're talking to those types of individuals about the CFL, they all know who you are. They know the names of the teams, what player went where. It's pretty special, that fraternity. So
no question, at the highest levels of pro personnel in the NFL, they know the Canadian Football League and the owners as well. So
let me add one thing before you're going to say it is, I won't be taking notes from Jerry on how to run a team. Okay. He runs the team very well on the marketing side, but as far as, I think he's secretly texting the plays down on the side.
So you're not going to be owner/GM one day.
Yeah. Not at all.
Have you been with the Jones family at a Cowboys game?
Yep, we've been there, and we have a suite there as well through the company we bought.
Okay.
And so we utilize that down there. It's right on that Legends level. It's pretty special stuff there, and it's more like a Four Seasons hotel.
When you're not using it, can we Airbnb it? Or
it's pretty nice down there. But
all right. Then last question. How does Amar Doman compare watching his team to Jerry Jones watching his team?
I feel every down. I haven't, been at the games and been able to watch the games, which is great because I've been meeting people, shaking hands.
Oh, my goodness.
So I PVR every game, of course, watching as soon as I get home in the middle of the night, whatever it is, and crack a cold one and sit up and watch. And it's exciting to do that. I'm excited about every down, everything that's going on. A player gets hurt, I feel it. Game day, something's turned on to me that I never, I have all, not butterflies, just an odd feeling all day until we're getting down there.
It's go time.
I'll tell you what, if I feel that and the fans feel that, means we care.
That's amazing. Well, how about them Lions? Last we always give the floor over to our guest at the end. Any kind of message, anything that we missed, or anything that you want to say to Lions fans or a BC sports public. Floor's all yours, Amar.
Well, first off to you guys, thanks very much for having me again. And good luck with what you guys are doing here. I will also say that just invite everyone to come in, give us a shot, come have a look. And I also want to thank everyone that stepped up to come back in, whether it's corporately, whether it's fans from Langley, Abbotsford, anywhere in the province coming in. We're going to do and invest in this team and really make the BC Lions a place where you want to come. And I just want to thank BC for supporting us so far, and let's keep winning, guys.
Amar Doman, his first turn at President's Week. He's a natural, and I think many, many, many more. Thank you, sir. Appreciate the time.
Thanks very much, gentlemen.
That was Amar Doman, BC Lions owner, here on President's Week. S&P presents, and it's a presentation of Audi Downtown Vancouver.
Audi Downtown Vancouver is at the corner of Burrard and 2nd. Of course, Audi Downtown Vancouver has their service department just a block away, making it so easy when you become a part of the Audi Downtown Vancouver family, and also making it so easy for you to adjust from season to season with all the accessories they've got as well down to the service department. Make sure you are ready for whatever winter, summer, spring, fall throws at you. Your bike rack, your ski rack. It's all at Audi Downtown Vancouver, AudiDowntownVancouver.ca.
Special edition Bodog poll questions at Sakarson Price on Twitter, so be on the lookout for those. As for a Bodog line of the day, hey, Super Bowl odds are out. Kansas City at plus 1,000. I like the 4th or 5th choice on Bodog. I like that Mahomes on your Bodog line of the day. Wow. That was a Canada Amar Doman speaking.
Yeah.
That he could sense how embarrassed Pavko was with the roof that would not open for their Thursday home game against Hamilton. How about a 4 p.m. Thursday kickoff, Blake? Now, I might have missed it, but I haven't heard him say that before, and I love the concept in the summer. Because let's face it, Vancouver, it's not a 9 to 5 town.
No.
Look at rush hour at 3 p.m. In the summer, rush hour is like 2 p.m.
Yeah. No, you could probably pull it off.
I think you could pull it off. As a one-off, for sure. No, I mean, I don't think you're doing multiple 4 p.m. kickoffs on a Thursday. But as a one-off, I'd love to see it. It's very much in the vein of the C's Nooner, right?
Yeah.
Where you can attract the family crowd, lots of kids. It's got a special feeling to it.
But it's a reason to leave work early.
Yes, it is.
With associates.
Which we're all looking for in the summer.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's a
Open
very
roof, nice evening.
He's very progressive, right down to the rule changes, the thoughts of expansion. I mean, he's not a wallflower, Amar Doman. He's got thoughts.
I was glad he took on Larry Tannenbaum's comments as forcefully as he did, because look, I've covered different Tannenbaum teams over the years. I think he's a very good sports owner. I think he's been phenomenal for MLSC. Of course, they've won an NBA title and a MLS title as well under Larry Tannenbaum. But I've never felt like they have given the Argos their best push, marketing-wise. And I was quite taken aback by his comments to the Globe. It's one thing to say that to your governors around the table. It's another thing to say that in the public forum. I'm still surprised that all the partners, Larry Tannenbaum and Rogers and Bell, are still in on the Argos after all these years and after all this misery and failure at the box office. But I loved what Amar said. If that's your problem, fix it. Don't blame the fans. Blame yourself. Like, Larry, you're the owner here. You have some agency. So good on him for that. We have heard time and again about a Labor Day rivalry with an Atlantic Canadian team. And, good honesty, he'd love to host the first one. Of course he would. And I think that could be a, special game on the CFL calendar if Atlantic Canada gets that franchise together. I
think it's hard to hate the Atlantic provinces. That's the only problem. They're so charming.
Well,
that's fun.
But to me, that's part of the spirit of the CFL, because it is such a small league, and you play everybody as often as you do, and you see this at Grey Cup, that they're really. It's not as tribal as hockey.
It's pretty
Hockey
easy.
is so tribal.
Pretty easy to hate the Eskimos or the Elks and the Stamps.
Well, yeah. It was a lot easier. It was a lot easier to enjoy the Melonheads and the Flatlanders until they got good. When they got good, whoa!
Out of the Juggernauts.
Yeah, exactly. But I wasn't surprised to hear him say that, he thought another team in BC would dilute it. And I think he's right. But the whole notion that the league maybe has to get to 12 teams at some point. And I love the fact that he's open to ideas and adjustments with the field, with the rules. I think that's necessary. We've seen the hash mark change this year. I'm not necessarily sure we've seen a huge difference, but maybe the coaches are still figuring it out. And I'm 100% for the naturalized Canadian, the American player who, if he spends enough time up here, counts as a domestic player, particularly to stem the flow of player movement. There's too many 1 and 2 year contracts where you see a guy move on, or you see a guy at the end of a 10-year career has played for 4 or 5 franchises. I'd love to see more, G. Roy Simon. Of course, G. Roy started in Winnipeg, but I'd love to see more G. Roy Simon, some Ryan Phillips, career lines.
Yeah, Brian Burnham's quickly becoming that.
Yeah,
I think.
absolutely.
But you want a large portion of that roster to be. You don't want to start every CFL season with a fan base, particularly in these big markets, going, who are the Lions?
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, you're always going to have some new American players. That is absolutely going to be a part of the Canadian Football League. Every year is going to break. You're probably going to have at least 1 or 2 new American starters who have come on up and won a job in training camp. What you want to see is the 5 and 6 year American starter.
Yeah.
Right? The guy who has put down some roots and has become known to the fan base and to the community. Give me a winner on the Bodog line of the day here.
Of course, you can already point forward to World Cup 2022, Canada's opener against Belgium on the 23rd of November.
Boy. It's getting real, huh?
It's getting real.
I was thinking about this the other day. We're less than 4 months away.
I know. It's plus 825.
Really?
For a Canadian win. A little strong.
Yeah.
Let's go for the miracle draw.
Okay.
Far more plausible. Plus 420 for a draw.
On your Bodog line of the day, Bodog, your trusted source of free casino
420.
games. Poker strategy and casino games.
From this corner of the earth, that makes sense.
420. I'm sure there will be a lot of 420 when Canada plays Belgium in November. Here, not in Qatar, of course. Thanks for listening, everybody. A reminder to follow us and Rank Wide wherever you get your podcast. And please do support the community sponsors you hear us talking about.